Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Let's see what we're gonna do here. Make sure this is over here. This comes on. And then we go. Okay, this is on now. How y'all doing tonight? All right, let me skip this. We're gonna jump right into it. Skip. All right, there we go. So I can see the comments. Open the panel. There we go. Now I can see the comments. All right, now we in there. All right, first of all, man, how y'all doing? I'm gonna go live for about an hour and then I'm gonna bounce off of here. All right, so I'm gonna just get to what I came to talk about. And if people jump on, they do. I'm sure people are watching on the replay. Anyway, man, I got my camera all big, man. Let me get my ass up out of here over something. Let's fix this right here. All right, let's do this. Bring it over a little bit more. People say, yo, some people say, yo, we like looking at you. Like it ain't about me, man. Okay, so we got 2 people watching. Let's get started. All right. First of all, thank you for joining the show. I'm going to get to the point. I got an hour and then I'm up out of here, man. Yo, listen, man, boxing's in a strange place right now. You know what I'm saying? A very, very strange place. The money's bigger than ever. The events look cinematic. But behind the bright lights and the massive Saudi stages, there's quiet fear spreading throughout the sport. And his name is Turki Alalshikh. Now, we know when Turkey's in the house, every day is Thanksgiving. But I'm going to tell you right now, man, before we get all dramatic, let's be real. The man has changed the landscape. What Turki Alalshikh has done for boxing is amazing. He's done what promoters in America could never do. He's unified promoters, unified fighters, networks, brought them all together for the sake of one thing. Entertainment, and that's what we've received over the last few years. So you got to give Turki Alalshikh a lot of credit for what he's done. But my question is, what happens when that entertainment comes at the cost of the Muhammad Ali Act? The one piece of legislation that protects fighters from being exploited by promoters. That's where things get dark. Now let me tell y'all something right now, man. Turki Alalshikh has a job to do. And I don't think most people understand what his job is. I'm gonna put it in a nutshell, right? His job is to ensure the international community views Saudi Arabia as a destination. And he's trying to change the way the international community views Saudi through sports and other means, but in particular through sport, right? So Turki Alalshikh will always be seen, irregardless of the real reason why Saudi's doing what they're doing. Because it's much deeper than that. Y'all got to understand the relationship with the $600 billion up to $1 trillion that came from Saudi into America to Donald Trump. You got to start connecting the dots between the king of Saudi and his relationship with Turki Alalshikh, Donald Trump's relationship with Dana White, Turkey and Dana White hooking up. Now, anything they need as far as approval to get certain things amended, you got the connection stateside and the money to flow over here into America. You got the connection from Saudi. So when you start to stitch things together, you get a pretty good, goddamn clear picture on what's going on. All right. Now, I ain't going to get into all that. I've talked about it in other videos. That's not what this live is about. But I could really peel the layers back. I probably make for a more interesting conversation than what I'm going to give you. But for now, let's just stick to my outline so I can get the hell up out of here in an hour. Turki Alalshikh, like I said, will always be seen as the man who resurrected big-time boxing. That's undeniable. He made fights happen that fans have been begging for. You got Fury against Usyk, Joshua. You even got Ngannou out of his situation with the UFC. And then you got Crawford and Canelo. So we got some really big fights. But here's the issue. When fans hear the Muhammad Ali Act might be amended, it sends shockwaves. This act is the reason fighters can demand fair pay, control their own careers, and not get owned by one promoter. If the amendment goes in the wrong direction, it means fighters can lose freedom. And while most fight fans love what Turkey brings, because we know when Turkey's in the house, every day is Thanksgiving. Hold on a second, it's my wife. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry, that was my wife. Y'all know what time it is. When the wife called, you got to answer that shit. But like I was saying, if that amendment goes the wrong direction, man, a lot of these fighters going to be in trouble. Everything sounds good right now. And maybe it'll be sweet. Maybe it'll be a good thing. I don't know. At least for the little ecosystem that's being created with Turki Alalshikh and Dana White and the whole Zuffa boxing. But for me, I just think, although most fans love what Turki Alalshikh brings to the table, the money, the show, the spectacle, the big fights, I think there's a growing fear that boxing is becoming a world stage instead of a competitive sport. But I'm telling you the direction this stuff is going. This shit is bigger than boxing. But I know probably 90% of boxing fans, they ain't reading them articles. They're not paying attention to what's going on in politics. They don't understand how all of a sudden the United States has a sovereign wealth fund and how the money has flowed over here from Saudi Arabia. They don't understand a lot of things that are going on. And so I don't expect them to be able to critically think and analyze the shit like this if they're not privy to it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you from experience and my background. Remember, I'm a retired cat. I understand what's going on. I pay every day. I sit there and watch the news and I pay attention. I'm like, oh shit, this could affect what's going on in boxing. It's certain things I hear because we talk about boxing so much. I'm like, yo, sovereign wealth fund, that's some shit I learned about through paying attention to Saudi Arabia and understanding the money they have to put on these events. So when I hear the United States was creating a sovereign wealth fund, I said, what the hell? That sounds like what they're doing in Saudi. Then I went and started watching the news and reading articles, and then I found out, holy shit, they're up to $1 trillion being flowed into America from Saudi Arabia. So we can get into the weeds on it, but I'm not going to. But the bottom line is this. There's a big twist. As far as boxing becoming a world stage or a competitive sport, I mean, does it even matter? Like, that's my question. Does it even matter? Turkey's financial power is unmatched. We know that. Turki Alalshikh is all about the Wu-Tang cream, dollar bill, y'all, cha-ching ching. Ain't nobody competing with that guy, and everybody knows it. That's why all these promoters and network sanctioning bodies, key decision makers in the secret society, they all fall in line. He's funding entire cards, paying purses that dwarf U.S. events, and making fighters richer than they ever been. As long as the money flows, which it will, because in Saudi they print their own damn money, most of these fighters are going to stay quiet. But history always catches up. Fans might one day realize the more control one man has, the less control fighters have. And that's the concern. So I'll let y'all kind of process and digest that little bit about Turki Alalshikh, the Muhammad Ali Act, the fact that it's getting a lot of momentum as far as it being amended. And then we can revisit that in another conversation. Now let's move on, man. Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. Yo, can Shakur Stevenson really beat Teo? That's my question. Can Shakur Stevenson really beat Teofimo Lopez? Who's the real threat here? Is Teo the threat? Or is Shakur Stevenson the threat? I want to know. So we got to switch gears and talk about it, because I think Teo and Shakur Stevenson is the most technically fascinating potential matchups. But I'm going to say this right here. Hey, yo, hold your horses and let's not take it to the stupid. Somebody was out here, was a Shakur fan, talking about, oh man, Shakur almost knocked out Zepeda. So when he fights Teo, you know he's going to knock out Teo. I was like, I know that? You telling me what I know? Shakur Stevenson ain't knocking out no goddamn Teofimo Lopez. Now, when Shakur Stevenson, what was he at? 126, 130, 135. It's different when you at them lighter weight classes. 126, 130. You saw 135. Shakur, he's got some, he can sting you now, but he ain't knocking nobody out. But over round after round, the accumulation of those precise shots that he lands, he can make you miserable. But going up to 140, I just think most of these cats forget about Adrian Broner. Let me ask you this. Who was a harder hitter at 135? Adrian Broner or Shakur Stevenson? When Adrian Broner was at 135, he was decapitating people, destabilizing, tranquilizing, traumatizing. He was Adrian Bronertizing people, wasn't he? Man went up to 140, still did the business. But there's something that happens when you get to a certain weight, shit plateaus. And Adrian Broner plateaued around 147. You know, the skills were there, the speed and stuff was there, but the damn power just wasn't there like it was when he was in the lighter weight classes. So for me, Shakur Stevenson, people need to remember, when you're going to run out here talking about Shakir's going to get in there and put the bing-bings on Teofimo and knock him out, I'm like, yo, hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stupid. Remember where Shakir's coming from. It's like people want to talk about Lomachenko at 135 and this and that. Lomachenko came from the lighter weight classes too and was still doing the business. Somebody talking about Naoya Inoue could go to 147 and he would knock out Brian Norman Jr. Hey, yo, McNicholas, where you getting this from? Naoya Inoue, 122 pounds, could go to 147 and man already bubbled up multiple weight classes. And you out here saying Naoya Inoue knocking out Brian Norman Jr.? How about this? With those ideas that you have, why don't you strip butt naked, jump in the river, man-eating crocodiles, and attempt to swim to the other side? Let's see how far you get with them crazy-ass ideas and comments and bullshit that you spewing out here on people's channels. All special fighters. But all I'm saying is, you get to a certain weight, you can plateau. And with Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, technically fascinating matchup. But what happens with Shakur at 140? He's even talking about going to 147. I know skills pay the bills, but skills don't always win the fight. I'll argue that with anybody. How about this? How about this? Vernon Forrest, Ricardo Mayorga. What happened right there? Who was the most technically sound fighter with the fundamentals and the Olympic pedigree and everything? It wasn't Ricardo Mayorga. That man came out of Nicaragua smoking cigarettes and having machete fights. Eating a roast con pollo with platanos and shit. He rolled up in the ring with Vernon Forrest. We thought Vernon Forrest was going to kill him. Ricardo Mayorga fought him twice. Bust his ass in both fights. So all I'm saying is, you just don't know. But I'll say this when it comes to Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. Barbosa gave Teo some trouble. Movement, patience, timing. And Shakur brings that movement, pacing, and timing and the patience and shit on an elite level. Shakur is a special fighter. I can't lie. He's not just slick. He's surgical. He doesn't rush. He doesn't waste energy. And what's amazing is watching him like, yo, Shakur rarely gets hit clean. If he gets hit at all. Like, this man impressed me with that Zepeda win. All those other wins, they were cool. But that Zepeda shit, because I just really thought, I said Shakur should be the favorite. But I said, I don't know how you're going to deal with that volume. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how talented you are. You got a man in there who can throw 100 punches around from the first round to the 12th round. How do you keep an animal like that off you? And shit, Shakur he showed me how to keep him off. You know what I'm saying? Irony, what's up, Hood? He said, love the hat, a rose con platanos. Shakur will beat racist Teofimo any day. What's up, TBE? So for me, Shakur doesn't really get hit. And then when we think about Teofimo Lopez, his best wins, Lomachenko, then Josh Taylor. But I'm going to say this, right? With Teofimo Lopez, for those of you who feel Teofimo Lopez is going to beat Shakur Stevenson, remember, I'm not one of those guys necessarily. But I'll say this, when Teofimo fought Lomachenko, Teo did look good, but he had Joey Gamache helping in the corner, helping in the training camp. Joey Gamache was an addition to the team. The reason Teofimo Lopez performed the way he did against Comey and against Lomachenko is because of having Joey Gamache on his team. What happened after Lomachenko, they got rid of Joey Gamache because Top Rank wasn't affording them a stipend to pay Joey Gamache. So as a result, Teofimo's dad, I think he's just being greedy, decided, yo, we're not paying this guy. Thank you, but no thank you. We're going to do it on our own. They got in there with Kambosos, and Kambosos put the Aussie, oi, 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 bing, bings on Teal. Yeah, Teofimo was, coming off of being, illness and some shit with his heart and lungs or whatever. He ain't had nothing but a goddamn bronchitis. That's all that was. And he lost the fight. Then when they fought Josh Taylor, I understand people saying, no, he beat the man who beat the man who beat the man. But Josh Taylor, you could tell that guy was just dried up like a goddamn beef jerky, a mango preservatives. You know what I'm saying? He was all dried up. He's like one of the military MREs. You know what I'm saying? But Teofimo got those two big wins. And I think what happened there also is those fighters, they stood still and at times tried to exchange. And they gave Teofimo a target. Shakir's not doing that. All right? We know Shakur Stevenson. Can he stand in front of you and make you miss or make you pay? Anybody doubting that right now, then you're taking it to the stupid. Hell yes, Shakur can stand right there, but I don't think he's going to do it because he said he's not doing that no more. Okay, he was under some pressure from Turki Alalshikh, the whole Tom and Jerry thing. He wants dominance, he wants drama, not dominance. And I think Shakur and everybody else who was fighting around that time felt a little pressure to come out there and actually put on the show. And Shakur did. And what that proved to me is Shakur Stevenson could be in a 16-by-16 ring. And he still ain't hitting that dude, you know what I mean? He's just one of those fighters that's cut from a different kind of cloth. And he just understands angles, he understands pivots, he understands feints, timing, he understands distance. He understands more than Teofimo Lopez, I'll tell you that. And I think he'll frustrate Teo mentally, make him overcommit, and then counter him. And I think he'll just come in there, we start calling him Shakur Ginsu Stevenson, because he's going to slice and dice Teofimo Lopez's ass up. And I do think the biggest difference is IQ. You know what I'm saying? Shakur fights like he's reading your thoughts. Make sure y'all hit that like button and leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. If you like the commentary, the fact that ain't no drama on this channel, ain't no ignorance on this channel, everybody's opinions are respected and welcomed, all right? But Shakur, man, that dude is like that dude is a soothsayer. Like, he can tell the future. Like, he can read your mind, you know what I mean? It ain't even about just knowing what next punch you're going to throw. Shakur somehow is like he can read your damn mind. And that's scary. And especially, a guy like Teo, he fights off rhythm. He fights off emotion, which is dangerous against a mental chess player like Shakur. You look at Teo when he fought, the Dominican cat from Massachusetts, man. The Dominican cat. The guy was boxing a whole lot and moving a whole lot. And Teo got frustrated because he couldn't cut. Jermaine Ortiz is his name? Jermaine. Fuck, I forgot his last name. But y'all know who I'm talking about. Teofimo Lopez was frustrated. He was like, hey, stand in front of me so I can hit you. Jermaine was like, yo, get out of here. McNicholas, this boxing, you better learn how to cut the ring off. And I do think I think his last name is Ortiz. If he would have thrown 15 more punches around, he would have won that fight. He would have easily won that fight. But, no, he didn't do that. So anyway, Shakur Stevenson, I do think this would be the hardest fight of Teofimo's career, probably of his life. I think this fight with Shakur is going to be harder than Lomachenko. For sure harder than Barbosa. Because this time he's chasing a ghost with one of the sharpest jabs in boxing. He's in there with a guy who, no kidding, is like he's teleporting around the ring. And I just think Teofimo is going to have a hard time. But I'll say this, this will probably be the most difficult fight of Shakur Stevenson's career too. Teofimo Lopez is athletic, he has power, he's elusive, and he does a lot of great things. There's a reason why Teofimo Lopez did what he did at 135 and what he's done at 140. Whether you like him or not, I agree. Teofimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia have done and said some things that have turned off a lot of people. So I understand the disdain that you guys have for him. I get it. But for me, I'm just talking boxing. You know what I'm saying? I got to give credit where credit's due. If you can fight, you can fight. I don't have to like you, but I can respect the position and what you bring to the table as a fighter. But as a person, that's a whole nother conversation. I ain't really here to talk about that because then things go left and, I ain't really about that. You know what I'm saying? Then you got Lamont Roach and Isak Pitbull Cruz. Pressure versus patience. You know what I'm saying? Where we at here? Got some comments. Yeah, Jermaine Ortiz. What's up, Wilson? Young Hollywood, Jermaine. Yep, salute hood. What's up? This fight signed Teo Capalot. I don't know, man. Look like Shakur saying that, it's going to be happening, but, you know, we didn't get no official announcement. And Teofimo Lopez likes to play games, so who knows what's going on with Cap 10 America Teofimo Lopez, you know what I'm saying? But Lamont Roach and Pitbull Cruz, pressure versus patience. I'm going to tell you right now, I like Lamont Roach, man. I just don't know what direction this fight gonna go. I'm being honest with you, man. Pitbull Cruz is a monster. He is a monster, but I recognize that Jose Valenzuela outboxed him. He was able to box and move, control him. His jab had GPS on that shit. Just wherever he wanted to move, Pitbull Cruz, he was able to do it. Later in the fight, Pitbull Cruz started to find his rhythm and started to land them Mexican bing-bings on Jose Valenzuela, and shit wasn't looking too good for him. But the bottom line, in my opinion, you know, he outboxed Pitbull Cruz and he deserved to get the win. You know what I'm saying? But with Lamont Roach, I think Lamont Roach is he's a better thinker than Valenzuela. I don't know if he hits as hard as Valenzuela, but I just think the fight's fascinating, man. Pitbull Cruz doesn't give you time to think. And that's why I think the first 4 rounds are going to be very problematic for Roach. When he fought Tank is another guy who likes to slow the fight down, think, make you make mistakes. But Lamont Roach had a lot of time to think and process. Against Pitbull Cruz, he ain't going to have that time. He ain't going to have that luxury. Pitbull Cruz are going to be green light, go. All gas, no brakes. Pew! Out of there. So I just think he's going to be on Lamont Roach, man. And with the pace that Pitbull brings, his constant bobbing pressure, ability to throw over 60 punches around, I mean, that shit is just a nightmare for anybody. And he can hit. And he's short. So it ain't about, oh, well, he's smaller than Lamont Roach. Nah, that just means he gets under his shots. He's a harder target. And Roach has a slow tempo. So the first 4 rounds, I wouldn't be surprised if goddamn Isaac Pitbull Cruz come out there, man, Speedy Gonzalez or Speedy Cruzales, and put that bing-bings on Lamont Roach. But if Lamont Roach can get through the first 4 rounds, slow that tempo down, put that jab on him, clinch him, angles, pivots, forcing him to reset, disrupting that rhythm. Because I'll say this, Pitbull Cruz was in a rough-ass fight with Fierro. That fight with Fierro that may have taken a pound of flesh out of Pitbull Cruz. That was a violent fight. He still won, but yo, that fight was, that shit was close. Some people thought he lost that fight. So Lamont has skill. He has timing. He's accurate. Got some respect. Got some respectable power. But does he have the kind of power that can stop Cruz from walking forward? See, that's the thing. I don't even think it's about power when you're in there with a guy like Cruz. I think it's really about your speed, your timing, and being precise. And if you can land them shots right on the button, because Pitbull Cruz got a big ass head. You swear that motherfucker ate a whole bunch of potatoes and shit. Some papas fritas. Because he got one big round ass head. So he got a big target. But my thing is, can Lamont Roach stop Pitbull Cruz from coming forward? If he can't stop him from coming forward, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The ring going to get smaller and smaller every round. They may start off in a 20 by 20 ring. Second round going to feel 18 by 18. Third round going to feel 16 by 16. Fourth round going to feel 12 by 12. And then by the goddamn fifth, sixth round, you feel like you in a matchbox. And that's all bad for Lamont Roach. But I do think Lamont Roach, man, he's got to fight like a sniper. He's got to fight like a sniper. He got to make sure his conditioning is on point. He's got to stay a step ahead of Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Stay sharp, disciplined, but mobile. And I ain't saying get on your bicycle, become a boxer runner, but you're going to have to move. Reset, circle. You got to do everything. Kind of like Terrence Crawford and Canelo. You know, pick your moments and then get the hell up out of there. But if he can't earn Cruz's respect, I think this shit could turn into a 12-round chase or 12 rounds of chaos. Long story short, Pitbull thrives on chaos. Roach thrives on calmness, on slowing the fight down a bit. And I just think whoever can control the rhythm will control the fight. But the odds to me kind of favor Pitbull because he's just not going to stop until he breaks you. And if Lamont Roach can't hurt him, can't make him think twice, can't stop him from advancing, Lamont Roach going to have a tough time. But I just think the first 4 rounds, if he comes out of that, I think Lamont Roach will win. I do. Because Pitbull will slow down. It ain't like Pitbull ain't no goddamn Williams Zepeda. Pitbull, he ain't even trying to throw over 60 punches around. He like, man, forget this shit. I'm tired. I ain't doing this shit at all. So Pitbull going to try to keep it between 40, 60 punches around. But if Lamont Roach can stay a step ahead of him, Lamont Roach can win that fight. But the first 4 rounds going to be hell. It's going to be hell, man. It's going to be like being in Louisiana, Hurricane Cruz Trina. You know what I'm saying? He says, I was listening to your video earlier. You were speaking the truth. Kishwar Meacham. Okay, man. Hey, well, I appreciate you, jumping on and supporting the channel, watching the videos. Hopefully you consider becoming a member, man. But I just appreciate your support. I hope you enjoy the videos. You know what I'm saying? Now, so that's what I feel about Lamont Roach and Isaac Pitbull Cruz. I've been on here 26 minutes. Let's keep moving. Let me put my fan on, man. I start running my mouth. It's like I start overheating in here. What happens when a slick boxer gets broken? You know who I'm talking about? Devin Haney. And Devin Haney's got a nightmare. I see some people be out here challenging me. Yo, Hood Champion, you don't know what you're talking about. Hold your horses. Don't take it to the stupid. Devin Haney is going to do this. He's going to do that to Brian Norman Jr. Okay. Your opinion. I got mine. But let's talk about the psychological damage of getting beat up in the ring, especially for a fighter like Devin Haney. Now, I already said, once a person drowns, they never become comfortable in the ocean again. And to me, Devin Haney got drowned by Ryan Garcia. We know Ryan cheated. We know Ryan was up to no good. But the bottom line is Devin Haney got drowned. And now you're thinking he's going to jump back into the ocean and be comfortable in the ocean again? Hell no, because when he gets in with Brian Norman Jr., if he starts to get hit and hurt, he's going to start to relive those moments of when Ryan Garcia was drowning his ass when they fought at 140. Well, it wasn't really 140 because Ryan came in over 140. It was a real cluster. They did Devin wrong. But all I'm saying is Haney's entire identity is built around control. And I think Devin Haney, I've watched his fights, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie and act like I've watched his first fight when he got to Mexico. Now, I started watching Devin Haney, I think like 2 or 3 fights before he signed with Eddie Hearn. But I just remember that first fight when he signed with Eddie Hearn. He fought on DAZN. And when he was in the ring boxing, I couldn't believe it. I was watching that shit saying, yo, this guy's like, hate to make them compare, like, yo, he's like Floyd Mayweather in there. Absolutely amazing. But with Devin Haney, he's all about trying to control the fight. He wins because Devin Haney has been able to control range, tempo, and distance because most of the time he's bigger than his opponents and he has a reach advantage over his opponents. He don't have that with Brian Norman Jr. He don't have a reach advantage. He don't have a size advantage. And shit, he doesn't even have an age advantage. Brian Norman Jr. is the young rooster running around scratching up and digging up worms and taking people's hens, breeding them and laying eggs and shit. So all I'm saying is when you're getting there with a pressure fighter like Brian Norman Jr., or somebody with raw power that can close the gap, and all of a sudden they take away Haney's ability to control, you know, man, things may start to unravel. And you're going to have old Bill Haney over there going crazy in the corner because I don't think this time he's going to let his son get beat the way Devin got beat against Ryan. I think Bill knows that Brian Norman Jr. can crack. And if Devin gets hit and hurt and them eyes roll up in the back of his head, I think Bill, the right thing would be is to stop the fight because that means Devin hasn't recovered. That means Devin's punch absorption is gone. His chin is gone. And people joke Devin about the lawsuit with Ryan Garcia. I think he should sue that dude, man. I ain't gonna lie. If he gets in here, Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Jr. first shot he hits him with knocks Devin out cold. But we know Brian Norman Jr. hits like that. But if he does hit Devin like that, because you know Devin's tough, man. People can clown Devin and say what they want. Devin will fight anybody. That dude will fight anybody. Matter of fact, I'm sure if Devin signed to fight a Japanese fighter and he went over to Japan, he'd probably say, I don't want to fight this guy. Where's Godzilla? This guy too small. I need Godzilla. Devin got heart, man. But if he get the shit knocked out of him by Brian Norman Jr., I think they should sue Ryan. Because I'm telling you, I've done the research, man. Shit is science. You know, your punch, your ability to absorb shots when you've taken, what's that shit called, man? When you've sustained damage over an extended period of time, it affects your ability to absorb shots. Although Devin is coming up in weight, that should help a little bit and shouldn't be dehydrated. Shouldn't have to worry about being easily concussed. But again, a lot of times when fighters get the shit beat out of them, they ain't never the same. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not making that up. That shit is science. You know what I'm saying? But we've seen it happen before. Fighters who appear boxers, you know, suddenly look lost when their opponent doesn't respect their jab. And you're going to have to discourage Brian Norman Jr., which is not easy to do. Because he's got the momentum going, he's got the confidence, he got the power, and he know he's going in there, man. Okay, if Devin Haney is a pit bull, okay, he's a pit bull who's recovered from abuse. It ain't a pit bull who's come from an environment where it was loving and he was trained to fight and be a killer, and he's coming into the fight with a clean mind and doesn't know anything but winning and success and being a champion and being great. Devin got all kind of detractors, man. People hate him because they say Ryan beat him. People hate him because of his father. People hate him because of who he is. People hate him because they feel that all he does is run. Devin Haney, I don't know why people don't like Devin Haney. I can understand, you know, but I understand his dad just out here doing what he does, promoting and trying to build his son up. I know what his dad's doing, but people don't like him. Even me, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, the only thing about them, it doesn't really matter because they can do what they want. I'm 50 years old, so, you know, I try not to judge them dudes, but that whole thing that somebody would brought up, they were like, yo, how you going to sit there and talk about God and religion, and then 2 seconds later, you talking about MF of this, N-word this, and I'm like, yeah, I hear you on that. But, you know, who am I to judge? You know, I ain't no one to judge anybody, but I hear it, and I understand. And I don't think it has nothing to do with just being Bill and Devin Haney. If I'm out anywhere and somebody's talking like that, and one breath they're like, hey, God bless you, brother, you know what I'm saying? Then the next breath they're like, man, F that MF and N-word, this and that. I'm like, yo, my man, you was just there with the little collar and everything, looking like, you know, the preacher, but maybe you're more like Don the Bishop, Don Magic, the Bishop Juan. Maybe you ain't no real preacher and shit. But I'm just saying, man, once a boxer starts getting hit clean, doubt sets in. And every moment becomes hesitant. And I can see that happening with Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. If Brian Norman Jr. starts touching him up, all of a sudden, man, you can see that Devin's posture changes. His body language changes. He goes from being a boxer, trying to be a boxer puncher, to being a boxer runner. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, you go watch Brian Norman Jr.'s fights. Y'all say what y'all want. When Brian Norman Jr. starts hitting people, all of his opponents become hesitant. They're like, hell no. There's something special about his hands. Matter of fact, Brian, the only thing I say about Brian Norman Jr. that I'm concerned with, he talking about, but it's just a conversation, but he's talking about going up to 154 and fighting Jerome Boots Ennis, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully he's staying locked in on Devin Haney, because if you ain't locked in on Devin Haney will outbox you, outwork you, and just focus on round after round after round. Devin Haney ain't coming in there thinking about, I need to knock you out. He's just thinking, I need to win round after round after round. That's it. That's all he's thinking about. So, after a good thrashing, the comeback isn't physical. So, anybody talking about Devin's going to be big, he's going to be strong, he's going to be fast, he's going to look this way. I hear you. But how's he going to be mentally? I don't give a shit about Devin and putting on muscle and taking this medicine ball and like he's simulating a hook and throwing the ball at the wall and talking about he's looking explosive. I don't care about none of that shit. what's going on up here? What's up with the mentality, with the psychology? That's what fans need to be talking about. Yo, peel the layers back, man. Critically analyze what you're seeing. And one thing we can't see is what's going on with Devin up here. But we're going to know when he get in that ring with Brian Norman Jr. I don't even know about his sparring. What kind of sparring is he having? He's got some talented guys in there. But is he in there going to war like Canelo goes to war in his training camps? You know what I'm saying? Is he really going to war, or is it controlled and monitored sparring? Or is it something when you got the headgear on, the gloves on, and someone lands a good shot, you're like, break, stop. Champ, you okay? All right, let's end sparring for today. We'll come back tomorrow, pick up tomorrow. Because ain't no breaks. Ain't no breaks in the real fight. Ain't no timeouts. Ain't no let me catch my breath. Ain't none of that shit. You get hit, you up out of there. So in sparring, you got the trainer to save your ass. In the fight, sink or swim. And all I'm saying is, with Devin Haney, he got to figure out a way to rewire his confidence, his timing, and his willingness to take risk again. Because training camp, that shit can't fix fear. Can't fix it. Only facing it in the ring can. You know what that shit's like? Any of y'all, I've done a lot of public speaking, right? I remember for the longest days, back before I retired, when I was young, early in my career, hey, we need you to come and brief this. And I used to be trying to find ways to slither away from that shit. I'm like, man, I ain't doing no public speaking. Because it's pretty intimidating. But I took this public speech class, and I got beyond it. Then I started challenging myself with doing briefings and presentations and teaching lunchtime classes, you know what I'm saying? And after about doing it 2 or 3 times, that shit was nothing. But I had to confront that fear, you know what I mean? And I think public speaking, that's the number one fear amongst people, public speaking. But to me, Devin Haney going into this ring and trying to fix that fear by getting in there and facing a real challenge like Brian Norman Jr., he's either going to sink or he's going to swim. But if he starts swimming, I think Devin's going to pass the test with flying colors. I really do. So it's not easy. And remember, I've been in the ring and I sparred too. I ain't saying I'm nothing on the level of those professional fighters. But I know what the fuck it means, what it is to train, to diet, to cut. I used to cut from 205 to 160. You know what I'm saying? And I know the discipline it takes. I know what it is to be sparring and hurt people. I know what it is to get hurt. You know what I mean? I know what goes through your mind when you hurt somebody and how if you're tired, you get this burst of energy. I know how it is to get hit and you're like, yo, I'm tired and I got this monster over here that just hit me with the bing bings. And they throw a shot and you fall in and clinch. I was always a strong dude, benching 385. When I said cut to 160, I couldn't push that weight, but I was always a strong motherfucker. So I grab hold of you, ain't going nowhere. But I remember the only time I did that, a couple times I was tired. But I got set up for some shit, but I ain't gonna talk about that. I'll talk about it in another video. Let me stick to my script. But I'm just saying, training camp can't fix fear for Devin Haney. Only facing it in the ring can. Haney's advantage is he's disciplined. And I don't know if the discipline he's going to show in training camp is going to correlate to an in-ring performance. But my concern is more about his disadvantage. His disadvantage, and that's his pride. Devin Haney's pride is his disadvantage. If he doesn't acknowledge what needs to be changed, he risks repeating the same nightmare against a power puncher like Brian Norman Jr. He can't allow his pride to drive him to try to stand in front of Brian Norman Jr. to prove that he's got power. Devin Haney has always been plagued with this desire to prove to the boxing world that he has power. He can knock people out. Hey, yo, Devin, hold your horses and let's not take it to the stupid. You don't have the power. You ain't He-Man. This ain't no, by the power of Grayskull, I got the power. You ain't that guy. You ain't got a battle cat over there. You got Bill Haney. And you a bad boy, but you don't have the power like that. So if Devin Haney don't sit that pride aside, I'm telling you, he going to get in there and try to do something that he just can't do. And Brian Norman Jr. is going to flatline him. But that's what makes the fight so interesting. And they can't get in the ring soon enough for me, man. So when somebody say, yo, you think it's a 50-50 fight? I think it could go either way, but I think Brian Norman Jr. gets him. But if Devin can stay a step ahead of Brian Norman Jr. and not just move, you gotta win. You know, box him, and not just chicken peck, coochie coo, and tickle him. No, you gotta bing him, because most judges like aggression. If you just moving, running, they don't want to see that. And remember, this is a Turki Alalshikh Riyadh season card. They don't want to see that shit. He cannot come in there and perform like he did against Ramirez. He can't do that. I don't believe Turki Alalshikh is going to allow Devin Haney to win any fight. And somebody's saying, well, Devin's Muslim. Yeah, I ain't going to talk about my background, but, I'll just say, if they say they're Muslim, they're Muslim. But I'm telling you, Turki Alalshikh, he looks at them through a different lens when it comes to religion. That's all I'm going to say, without getting into anything about me and my background. If you say you're Muslim, we got to accept that. But don't think Devin Haney going to get the same treatment that Hamza Shiraz gets. So let's just frame this correctly. I'm going to just leave it as that shit. Don't think he's going to get the same treatment of a Madrimov, of a Murtazaliev. All right? They're not looked at as the same. They could be, but they're not. And Devin Haney and his dad have every reason for them not being looked at as the same. And I'll let y'all figure that out. Now, Claressa Shields. I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to get off of here because that'll put me around the 1 hour mark, right? Claressa, the GOAT. Hey, Papoose, Pap, that's my man, Papoose. Claressa Shields against the public. She ain't just at war with Layla Ali no more. She's at war with the public. Let me get to these comments. He says, I was listening to why did Devin abandon his boxing style and try to slug it out with Ryan? Oh, because Devin wanted to prove that he had power. Devin, you know what happened is he hurt Regis Prograis a couple times, and he's up to that fight. He just felt like he had this newfound power, and that's what he was saying. My power is this, my power is that at 140. But Regis Prograis was getting hurt by Zorrilla. He lost to Zorrilla. They robbed Zorrilla. But then you saw what happened. Devin came in there against Ryan and thought he was going to be able to knock him out. Don't get me wrong. I think it was the second round. Devin hit Ryan with that goddamn left hook. And, look, bottom line, Ryan tested positive for PEDs. Maybe if Ryan didn't have that juice in him, maybe Ryan would have gone down. But Devin hit him with some shit. And I think it was the second round he landed that left hook. Ryan Garcia grimaced. He made a weird face. He ain't like them Henderson, Nevada Bing Bings. He ain't like that shit. But the bottom line is Ryan survived and he came back fighting hard. But the problem with Devin is his pride. He thought he could go in there and knock Ryan out, and he was stupid. But he fought the wrong fight, but Ryan was cheating. But he still fought the wrong fight because he was getting hit with shots. Ryan's naturally got fast hands. He'd been that way since the amateur, so we can't come and act like Ryan been on PEDs ever since he was 7 years old. I mean, the man always had a left hook and had speed. But Devin fought the wrong fight. You saw from round, I think, 2 through 8, Devin won every round. To me, he did. So Devin has got the talent. He just chose to stay in the pocket too long, foolishly thinking he could, and giving Ryan a chance. Ryan had faster hands, he has a longer reach. And Ryan was just able to get his shots off. Devin was standing in the pocket too long, and Ryan was catching him with shit. And Ryan had his right hand working too. Derrick James helped to incorporate the right hand. So, yeah, the PEDs, that helped Ryan, but Devin was there to be hit. So, with Brian Norman Jr., he can't do that. Sit your pride aside, learn from the Ryan mistakes, and give yourself a chance to win. Says, you're right, he might be facing it too early, though. Yep, he says, even Haney fans, you'll never talk to get amnesia about the Zorrilla fight. Or every Haney fan, you never ever talk to get the amnesia about. Yeah, you know me, I don't care about none of these fighters, I just like boxing, so I don't have a favorite. Whoever wins, wins. Who loses, loses. I don't care. I talk about everybody, I'll come today and say Brian Norman Jr. win. I've done videos saying Devin Haney would win and how he can win. That's just what I do on my channel. Y'all know I don't give a shit about nothing. I just talk boxing. I like to break things down, so hopefully y'all enjoy the content. But speaking of content, and a whole lot of content, there's Claressa Shields. She's still one of the greatest female boxers ever. You can't question nothing about Claressa Shields as a fighter. But I just think since that Laila Ali video response yesterday, things have shifted. Fans are starting to view Shields as the aggressor, as a liar, as toxic. And a lot of people felt that way about her already. But now they just see how Laila came out and addressed things with class, calm. She's very articulate, and she provided receipts. She basically came and poked Claressa Shields all up in the eyeball and took all them false narratives and shoved it all up in her mouth. You know what I'm saying? Had Claressa Shields out here looking crazy. So as a result, people see Claressa Shields as the aggressor, the one pushing for attention through controversy instead of legacy, trying to call out Laila Ali, who's been retired for almost 20 years, last fought in 2007. Now you want to come and fight Muhammad Ali's daughter? Talking about her dad, Muhammad Ali wouldn't have ducked no smoke. What are you talking about? Muhammad Ali wouldn't have ducked no smoke? How dare you even let that man's name come out your mouth? That just shows you that Claressa Shields got a lot of work to do, man. And that's why fans don't like Claressa Shields. They don't like her. There's a concentric few that'll come and support Claressa Shields, but I look at the comments they leave and how they have poor grammar and the different words they use in the slang, and they can't properly express themselves, and I understand why they support her. You know what I mean? They don't even make an attempt to sound like they got a bit of intelligence. But I'm going to tell you this, man. Laila Ali didn't have to get mean. She didn't have to be nasty and nefarious like Claressa Shields. She didn't have to come out here and be all dramatic. She just used grace. And to me, that contrast made Claressa look emotionally unstable. Beauty and the Beast is what the hell happened there. And here's the problem, right? When you go after that Ali name, I don't know why people didn't tell Claressa Shields, they're looking at it as, yeah, the Ali name, there's so much money in that fight. If you can get her out, yeah, go after, say this, you want to provoke her, make her come out of retirement, say something about her dad. That's not how you get a fight with no damn Laila Ali, man. Let me tell you something. I said this in my other lives. When it comes to that Muhammad Ali name, the Ali name, all 7 continents of people who revere that man, they don't just like him. It's love. They carry Muhammad Ali in their hearts. So when you come out here and you're picking a fight against Laila Ali, you're picking a fight against the Ali name. And you're stepping on holy ground. Okay? And someone should have advised Claressa Shields to just shut up. Leave it alone. But she done stirred the pot, and we are where we are because Muhammad Ali is loved globally, and his children are. Wherever they go, where the father's love, which is everywhere, they're going to be accepted with open arms. It's like Bob Marley. Anywhere his kids go, people love them kids because of their father and his music and his message. So it's not just about boxing, and that's what Claressa Shields doesn't understand. She's like, oh, boxing. Her dad this, her dad that. He wouldn't have ducked no smoke. Muhammad Ali stood for way more than goddamn boxing. She don't even had a goddamn sense to stop and think about that. Why you think Laila Ali ain't really paying her too much attention? If it was just about boxing and the father instilled in his daughter, hey, don't duck no smoke, she would have been with in there and fucked Claressa Shields, but that ain't the values he instilled in her. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got time for that drama at all, man. So Claressa Shields, when she drags that name into the mud to hype a fight, fans feel disrespected. They don't like it. And there's a lot of fans who jumped off the Claressa Shields bandwagon. They don't like her. And it's easy to not like somebody with a bad attitude. It's very easy. But part of me kind of feel a little bad about Claressa because she don't know how to be any other kind of way. You know what I'm saying? She been through a lot. But I still think she got smart people around her. Someone should have not been looking at the money, not been so greedy, and look at the longevity of the sport for Claressa and say, yo, there's a way we can go about this and just leave Layla Ali alone, but we can still help. You can still go on to become great and be loved by all instead of hated by all. And Claressa Shields is, no kidding, the villain. People expected more from Claressa Shields, you know what I mean? And I think that's a frustration. And some of the dislike has turned to hate, but I think they just expected more from her. But if Shields wants to win back fans, you know, she got to humble down. You know, she just got to chill out. Let her gloves do the talking in the ring. Leave Layla Ali alone. She should come out and publicly apologize for anything that went too far. And you can't come and apologize today and the next week be like, yeah, I just apologized because I was told to apologize, but I really want that smoke. You know, I really want that smoke. You can't do that shit. And she just needs to work on growing, man. She got to look at herself. Let her gloves do the talking and refocus on dominating women's boxing instead of trying to chase a fight that would never happen with a retired Layla Ali who's been retired almost 20 years, 40-something years old. Leave her alone and don't mention Muhammad Ali's name ever again. I don't know what's up with these Flint, Michiganders. You know what I'm saying? And even Floyd Mayweather, he don't even have the decency to just say, when they talk about Floyd, do you think you're the best ever? Even better than Ali? He don't even have the decency to say, I don't have any comment about Ali. Ali was great. He stood for so much. That's all I got to say. And just end the conversation. Floyd, his pride gets him to where he still want to come out and say, I'm better than Ali. Ali lost to this person. The man's passed away already. What the fuck are you doing? You that narcissistic, my man, that you just can't shut your mouth? You still got to come in and talk about the deceased, especially somebody like Muhammad Ali? But I tell you what, for Claressa Shields, since she's the GOAT, and she's a gangster, right? Fight Ann Wolfe then. Call out Ann Wolfe. Since you're saying Layla Ali didn't fight Ann Wolfe, how about you call out Ann Wolfe? How about you fight Ann Wolfe? That's what I say. Let Claressa Shields fight Ann Wolfe. I may do the video on that tonight, but I've been doing videos all day, man. I'm about to go in here and chill out. But that's all I'm saying. You go fight Ann Wolfe. Gangster. Anyway, man, there's a big shift in boxing. Claressa is the greatest female boxer ever, but she's part of this toxic social media age. Yep, Flint water has real effects, no doubt. He said definitely zero media training. Yep, I honestly try to root for Claressa, then she starts bumping the gums. Yeah, that's how I am, man. It's like you take 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. She's all about regression. You're supposed to move up the ladder, not come down and reverse. You know what I'm saying? But there's a shift in boxing, man. Boxing's evolving. Depending on how you see it, shit's devolving, you know what I'm saying? But we have money kings like Turki Alalshikh, you know, when Turkey's in the house every day is Thanksgiving, changing them rules with Dana White. And then you got new mental giants like Shakur Stevenson rewriting the boxing IQ. Shakur Stevenson's on his way to being one of the pound-for-pound greats in the sport. I ain't ready to put that crown on him yet, but Shakur, he may be that one, man. Then you got pressure monsters like Pitbull Cruz, Breaking Wills, guys like Lamont Roach, who I think beat one of the pound-for-pound kings, Gervonta Davis, and got robbed of an opportunity to prove himself in a rematch. But he's going after, you know, to me, a very difficult challenge at Isaac Pitbull Cruz, and he's just trying to prove how great he is. And then you got emotional champions like Claressa Shields learning that legacy isn't just about talent. It's about grace and dignity and respect. But the real fans, you know, we all see everything. And that's, we know who's real. We know who's selling the show and who's slowly losing themselves to fame. We know. We got optics. We got awareness. We recognize what's going on out here. And as the sport changes, one truth remains in boxing. Character hits harder than any punch. And reality hits harder than any punch, too. And I think all these fighters we talked about tonight, man, is going to get a dose of all that shit when they do get in the ring in the next fights. T.O., Shakur, Pitbull Cruz, Lamont Roach, Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr., Claressa Shields, all of them will get a dose of reality. I even think Turki Alalshikh and Dana White going to get a dose of reality with this shit they're doing trying to amend the Ali Act. So it is what it is, man. He says Floyd versus Bud, Ali versus Shields, or Wolf. Yeah, that would be interesting, man. He says on a Jake Paul versus Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen's wife better not be in the crowd. Jake Paul may leave with his wife and shit. I have a question. Who's going to fight Shakur? I don't know, man. It's supposed to be Teofimo, but Shakur may be wasting his damn time. He out here not getting in the ring, not staying busy enough. I don't know what Shakur doing. To me, he should be fighting 3 times a year. I don't know. Eddie Hearn got to get him fights. I don't know what Jay Prince and they got to sort it out. I don't know why Shakur ain't fighting. He just fought Zepeda, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Unbiased. What's up, champions? They got in here late. Did you see Charlo speak on Boots? I know. Yeah, I saw Charlo. You know, people talking about Boots now. You know what I'm saying? That's good. That's good. Let's see if somebody will fight him. But let me write that down here. You see, I got my little notebook, man. That's where I'll be writing down my shit as far as what to talk about. Because if I don't write it down, I'll forget. Charlo versus Boots. Former king versus newly crowned king. That's how I be coming up with my video titles and shit. So yeah, man, I'll talk on it, man. I'll talk on it. He says, we witnessing the disrespect and ignorance of today's youth. I hope Ali puts bing bings on it. Oh yeah, Cool Ash. I talk about that all the time, man. I'm a retired military cat. I remember when I got out, I was like, yo, this next generation's crazy. You know, I remember before I retired, I was in the office with this general. I'm a retired E9. You can't go no higher. And I was in there with a general, and we were talking. And they were talking to me, right? And they say, hey, you know what? Because people were complaining, saying I was too iron-fisted and shit. And that man told me, he said, hey, just give them what they want. This next generation, they'll ruin your career. Just give them what they want and just get to retirement. And I was like, what? And I said, damn, that's the advice you got? Because everybody was so afraid of that next generation because of how they were. They're just fucking entitled and no respect. And so I've been retired for 7 years, and I never went back to work. I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Life is pretty goddamn good. But in the last 2 years, I started subbing twice a month because my kids are in school. So I'll go to their schools and sub. I went to the high school twice, never went back. First time I subbed at the high school, one of the kids in the class called me a bitch. Let me tell you what happened. So I'm in there. I'm trying to be professional and shit, but that military's in me. So I see bullshit. I can't help but knock it off. So the kids came in class, these 3 idiots. It's a black guy, a white guy. I think he was biracial, half white and black, and a Mexican kid. And they were in there talking about, yeah, man, this girl, man, yeah, you know, you got to get him to suck you so-and-so and do this and that. And they're saying it out loud. And you can see all the kids in the class, and some of the girls are looking like, I can't believe they're talking like that. So I said, hey, because they were sitting right in front of me, right in front of my desk. So I'm the sub, so I'm like, maybe they're thinking, you know, I'm soft or something. You know, they can run over me. So you got to get in front of that shit quick. But you got to do it professionally, you know. But my first reaction was to go over there and punch one of them in their fucking mouth. I ain't gonna lie. But I can't do that. So I was like, hey, fellas, I said, come here. I said, I hear what you guys are saying. I understand y'all are young. We're all men. I get it. But talk that shit out in the hallway or out away from the girls like that, and you're in the classroom saying that. I can't let you do that. And they were like, oh, okay. And then they sat there and they kept doing it. And I said, all right. I said, yo, I don't know what it is with y'all, but I'm going to send y'all down here to the assistant principal's office. And guys like, oh, he's going to send us to the assistant principal. Oh, we're so scared. So now they're doing that shit. It took everything in me, man, not to punch one of them kids, man. So I called down to the front office. I said, yo, we got an issue. Kids in here using inappropriate language, sexual stuff, disrespecting me. And I said, I don't know how to handle this. I said, because I can't handle it the way that I'm used to. Remember, I can't reprimand them, you know what I mean? I ain't in the military no more. So my form of corrective action, when I get upset with bullshit like that, you know, is to punch somebody in their fucking mouth. So their kids were so disrespectful, I didn't see students no more. This is 11th graders. So these motherfuckers got mustache and beard. I'm seeing men. So the assistant principal came up there to get him, and she was like, "You guys get out." One kid was like, "You don't talk to me like that. Don't effing talk to me like that." And I'm like watching this shit. I'm like, "What the hell is this?" They talking to the assistant principal like that. She like, "Shut up and get out. Don't tell me to shut up. Who do you think you're talking to?" So I'm backed up against the wall and I'm just watching. Because as they come out, I'm like, I don't know if these kids gonna try to record some shit or somebody gonna try to sneak me or throw something at me. But that's just me, the way I grew up, man. You know, being in a one way in, one way out, parties and clubs and pool halls and shit. I know better to let my guard down because I'm so used to. I'm 50. I don't go around that shit no more, but I'm used to shit popping off. So I'm like, let's see if somebody gets slick. I'm gonna knock somebody out in here today. So my feet, everything with me is positioned to fucking shoot that goddamn 3-2 on their ass, you know? That 2-3 on their ass. And one kid walks out and he's staring at me and I'm just looking at him. The other guy walks out, he's staring at me, I'm just looking at him. The other one comes out, he's like, you a bitch. I say, I know, so is your father. And the class was like, ooh. And the assistant principal took him out. And man, it took everything, boy, in me. It took everything in me, man, not to put my hands on that kid. But I tell you that when you talk about the disrespect. So when I sit here and I watch Claressa Shields and how she conducts herself, and she doesn't respect position. Layla Ali's position, her dad's position, she doesn't respect that. That's why she says the things she says. As a teacher in a school, kids don't respect those positions. As a sub, those kids don't respect the position. Right before I retired in the military, you know, they had to watch what they say because, you know, you come fucking around with me, especially any E9. You don't want to do that. That's career suicide. But that's just the generation. I call them the TikTokers. They're horrible, man. And I just sit back. So I don't even go to the high school no more because I was in the hallway. My son plays ball. And I'm listening to the girls in the hallway. Yo, the girls are worse than the guys. Worse than the guys. So when I watch this shit in boxing and all this crap on social media and how they conduct themselves, and even with some of these other guys who have boxing channels, I don't talk to nobody. Nobody. Because I ain't cut from that cloth. You know what I'm saying? The only one guy who I feel like when we talk, we vibe a little bit is Jamel Herring. That's because he was a Marine. So we're cut from a different cloth. I'm Air Force, he was Marines, but with certain things that we're just wired a kind of way. So he understands when we're talking and joking and talking about certain things, there's a certain respect that we afford people. But the rest of these cats, that's why they talk the way they talk and act the way they act. You know what I'm saying? He says, I'm old school 64. I hear you. He says, I'm a vet. Yeah, so you understand, man. He says, we witnessing the disrespect. Yep. He says, I run into disrespect all the time, both personally and professionally. It's bad right now. Like you said in your video from earlier, Hood, people don't know how to play their cards right. Yeah, absolutely. Some think they are playing their cards right, but they're not. They be sloppy after rather than skillful. Yeah. And so I apologize going off on a rant just now, but y'all start talking about this generation and the respect and disrespect. Shit's toxic. I have 4 sons. We talk all the time. My sons, I used to wonder why the teachers be like, oh, we love your kids. Your kids are so great. What do you do at home? I used to take offense to that shit. Like, what? How are my kids supposed to be? They're not supposed to be well-behaved, articulate, smart, athletic, considerate. What did you expect from our children? It's just like when people say, oh, you're so well-spoken. I used to take offense to that shit. But when I started substitute teaching, and I saw even down in the elementary schools, some of them little chupacabra running around, it's the parents, man. It ain't those kids' fault. Child been on the earth 6, 7, 8 years. You gonna get mad at the child? It's the parents' fault. And if they're not getting control of that shit at those damn 6, 7, 8 years, them developmental years, them kids are screwed by the time they get to junior high. Junior high is another place for a bunch of toxic ass children, man. I just sit back. I go to junior high once every other month because I have 2 kids in junior high. They ask me to come. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it, man. They're ridiculous. You see this shit right here? This shit, the cell phone? Oh, That shit is poison, man. Poison. Ruin children, man. So I can't. I'm from the old school, man. I can't deal with that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So y'all got me to talk about myself and not boxing. He says you on right. He says OG used to help the youth, and youth respected the OGs. Internet killed all that. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Messenger 215. Salute to my fellow vets. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. That's why I call them the TikTokers, man. That TikTok, that Twitter crap, this social media bullshit. I'll get on YouTube. My youngest, we watch Dr. Binox and stuff. It's stuff, educational videos for kids. You're watching that, then boom, some bullshit comes on, and it's flooded with trash. So you gotta monitor that shit, man. But that's what these people are doing. It's ridiculous. Anyway, man, I've been on here for an hour and 5 minutes. I said I was just gonna do an hour. I know it's Friday. You're probably like, yo, Hood Champion can keep rolling another 3 hours. Nah, I'm about to go put my little man in bed. I may get back on later. I don't know. Because I'm wide awake. I drink a cup of coffee, so, you know. All gas, no brakes right now. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, man, y'all keep cool. I may come back on later, probably in about an hour and a half. I'm going to make sure my little man is comfortable. And then other 3 sons, I don't care. They all big boys. They can do what the hell they want. It's Friday. But I may come back on here and pick up where we left off. But that being said, man, y'all keep cool. I appreciate the support as always, man. And make sure y'all become a member to the channel, subscribe to the channel, leave that donation for that weekend fried rice and chicken wings. And we'll probably pick back up in an hour and a half. If not, I'll definitely be live tomorrow at some point. Y'all keep cool, all right? I'm in the breeze.